Hi, everybody. Welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. You might remember this email that I got from Mark Harris. He gave me two links to two different places that have stories of visitations. I have my spreadsheet where I'm trying to keep track of visitations, dreams, visions, near-death experiences, where somebody encounters a heavenly messenger or somebody on the other side of the veil. So I already tackled this first one. It had to do with Satan coming to the Logan, Utah temple, being met outside by the temple president, and it was an interesting exchange. So we took care of that, but now I'm hitting up this second one. And by the way, thank you, Mark, for sending me this email. So the second link takes us to an LDS Living article, a nighttime visit from a spirit, an uplifting story from President Packer. And, as always, I want to go to the original source, and I found it. This comes from his book called The Holy Temple. And it's just a short little story, but it's one that I need. I have this spreadsheet called Timeline, Visions, and Visitations, where I'm keeping track of all these in chronological order. This is a timeline. You can access my spreadsheets. Excuse me. You can access my spreadsheets anytime. The link for them is in the description box of each video. And I think they're best viewed on a desktop or a laptop because you can double click, for example, on a desktop or a laptop, a cell. Like you see how there's more information in this one right here. What you do is you double click on it and then it'll pop out the whole thing. Feel free to copy anything that I have on my spreadsheets onto your own documents. You can copy anything you want. You can't make changes to the spreadsheet. It's view only, but you can copy anything that you want to. So here's the newest one. I'm not exactly sure when this took place. All I know is that it took place sometime after the Logan, Utah temple was dedicated in 1884. I verified that here. It was dedicated the 17th through the 19th of May, 1884 by John Taylor. And then the story is being told by Boyd K. Packer. And the story that we're about to read has to do with Julius Smith. And I tried to look him up to see if he was like a general authority. It doesn't seem that he was, but he is the grandfather of President Packer's wife. There's, this church news article, in Grandpa's footsteps, walking to the Logan, Utah temple. And his full name is Rasmus Julius Smith, but in the book, he's just referred to as Julius Smith. But this is him right here. So he's the one that experienced this interesting visitation. Before we jump into that story, I've added on to this spreadsheet, like at the very bottom, just because I'm curious about these things. I have all the decades right here, and I'm doing a tally by decade of how many visitations I have on my spreadsheet. So far, the decade with the most visitations and visions is the 1830s. So this would correspond, this would correspond with the Kirtland Temple and Kirtland era of the church. There was a lot going on around that time. And then after that, you have the 1820s, which shouldn't be too surprising. A lot of these initial visits and visitations have to do with Joseph Smith, but there are so many more that don't. It's not just Joseph Smith. Sometimes it's Joseph Smith along with other people, like Sidney Rigdon or Oliver Cowdery. But other times you have ones that are just like different people, just like random people, like Boyd K. Packer's wife's grandpa, like we're about to read. The most recent one that I have so far is from the 2010s, and I think it was 2012. Let me just find it really quick. Yeah, 2012. It was actually Boyd K. Packer dedicating the Brigham City, Utah temple. He acknowledged the presence of Brigham Young, Lorenzo Snow, and someone said that this name is pronounced Rugger. So I don't know, Rudger, Clausen. So those three were there at the dedication, and this is the most recent one that I have. what we're reading here is from, I think, probably from the 1880s, because it seems like this happened just like shortly after the Logan, Utah temple was dedicated. So the 1880s is actually in the number 3 spot right now in terms of like most visitations and visions. I'm sure that there's so many more, and every single time it surprises me just how much has taken place, how many people have seen things. And these are for me, it's a testimony building thing. I already have a testimony based on my own experiences and the whisperings of the Spirit, but our Heavenly Father blesses us with the testimony of other people that have like these type of experiences as well. So I hope that, that's what you get out of this. And just to like get a better sense of like how much contact there is between this side of the veil and that side of the veil and us and resurrected beings and all that. Okay, so let's go back to the 1880s. I'm not going to read it from the spreadsheet, but this is where I have it with all the pertinent data. We're going to go to archive.org and we're just going to read it from here. Okay, so I want to read this first part. It doesn't necessarily have to do with the vision, or sorry, not the vision, the visitation, but I feel like it's good information in the lead up to the visitation. Okay, so this is Boyd K. Packer talking. The Logan Temple is sacred to our family. For there, my wife and I were married, and my wife's grandfather responded to the call and helped to construct that temple. C.O. Law, the superintendent of construction for that temple, wrote on the 25th of February, 1884, quote, "This letter certifies that Brother Julius Smith of Brigham City has worked faithfully and honorably on the Logan, Utah temple for nearly 2 years, and as the temple nears completion, his branch of the labor being terminated, he is now honorably released, and we sincerely trust that Brother Smith may become a participant in the blessings of the house of the Lord, which he has assisted to erect." End quote. Brother Smith, with his wife Josephina, lived on a few acres of ground in Brigham City. There they raised 14 children, my wife's father being the youngest. When the call came for workers to assist in the building of the temple, he responded. Each Monday morning, he left his family in the care of his wife and hiked up through Flat Bottom Canyon, down Dry Canyon to the south end of Cache Valley, and on to Logan. After his week's work on Saturday, he walked home to spend Sunday with his family. He was not a young man, just over 5 feet tall and very slight in build. He was nevertheless assigned as a hod carrier. For the younger readers, I explained that a hod carrier would fill a V-shaped wooden box full of mortar or plaster. He would lift it to his shoulder and carry it to where the masons were working, often carrying this very heavy weight up long ladders. On the afternoon of August 11th, 1883, Brother Smith was supplying 2 plasterers who were finishing the ceiling 100 feet above the ground in the northwest tower of the temple. Suddenly, the scaffolding gave way, tipped to one side, and fell. The projections for the spiral staircase had been installed. The 3 men tumbled through these projections and landed at various levels amid the rubble. The record states that they were removed to their homes and soon returned to their work, having sustained only minor injuries. So that's crazy. That would have been interesting to see in person. But anyway, there's a work accident, and he alludes to the fact that maybe it was miraculous that they weren't injured more, but they were able to return to work. All right, continuing. The hope that Brother Smith would participate in the blessings of the house of the Lord, which he had assisted to erect, was amply fulfilled. He went there often. Okay, now here we go. Here's the story of the visitation. So this is interesting. He had been working on the temple. He was a faithful worker, servant of the Lord. already experienced kind of like what seems like a miracle in not getting injured more. And then this, after the temple was completed. As a young man, he had lived among the Indians. In later years, when Indian bands would visit Brigham City, one of the Indians would go to the home of Brother Smith. His visits were not welcome. His his visits were not welcomed by the rest of the family, for he would peer in every window intently until he determined that Brother Smith was home. So I guess his wife didn't like that, you know. I don't know about your family. Like, we're not too big on people just like peeking in our home, looking through our windows, but that's just us. Anyway, and only then would he knock at the door. Okay, so he made sure that he was home, and then he knocked on the door. One night, some years after the completion of the temple, Brother Smith was reading his newspaper. He heard a noise at the window, and he saw his Indian friend peering in with an unusually sad expression. He went to the window and found no one there, and the snow beneath the window had not been disturbed. So no footprints and stuff like that. You know what? And just really quick, that's another, I'm remembering now, I shared one time that my grandma and grandpa, they had like a side job as being janitors for the church. There was a time when the church employed janitors to, you know, take care of the buildings before shifting that responsibility to the members. But yeah, when I was young and growing up, my grandma worked, she was a janitor for like her church building in the stake. I don't know, maybe it was like more than just one church building. I can't remember. But one time she said that she had heard, there's like nobody else in the building, but she heard like a choir singing in the chapel, and she went to go check, and nobody was there. And there was like nothing more to it, just that happened. And then there was another time, I wish I remember all the details, but I was young. But she talked about the fact that there was like somebody that had visited the chapel and like asked something, or I don't know what, but then they left, and she went outside because she meant to like tell this person something else. And when she went outside, it was like snowing. There was fresh snow on the ground, and there weren't any footprints or anything. There was no tracks in the snow. So anyway, that just reminded me of my grandma's experience. I can't wait to see her again. I'd like to get all the details and also see her again. Okay, so anyway, so you have this Indian friend. He showed up, looked through the window. He was sad. He went to go to the window. Then he wasn't there, and there were no tracks in the snow. Continuing. This incident bothered him greatly, and during the following week, he tried to locate and get some information about his Indian friend. He learned that he had died. In due time, he recorded, "Today, I have taken care of his work in the temple." That very evening, he was looking through the mail and again heard a sound at the window. When he looked up, he saw his Indian friend, this time smiling. He counted that a very sacred experience, and in the record of a great amount of work done by this faithful grandfather in this temple is found the name Beagotia, or Beagotia, or something like that. So that's just okay. Let me just read the rest of it. I have wondered over the years about the meaning of the scripture recorded 3 times in the Book of Mormon, that the course of the Lord is one eternal round, found in 1 Nephi 10:19, Alma 7:20, and Alma 37:12. I can see one meaning as it relates to our work for the dead. Genealogical work, the essential preparation for temple work, puts us to seeking through the records for those who have lived in the past. We look back to the past to find them. We perform temple ordinance work for them, and then we look forward to the future to meet them. Something sacred is consummated when we have safely recorded in the list of ordinances completed and then it cuts off. Sorry. This is one of those tabs that I've had open for possibly over a week at this point. But for some reason, it doesn't give you the full thing on archive.org, so that's why it cuts off. You see where it says borrow unavailable? And it's not because somebody else is reading it. There's just like something weird going on with this book. Anyway, yeah, I find that incredible. You know, we've read a number of times now that some visitations occur for this very reason, where you have somebody on the other side that's like, look, I have a predicament right now, and I know that you have access to my information. You'd be able to go to the temple for me, or will you do it for your mom? Will you do it for, a relative? Can you please do it? And then they do it, and things happen that, in fact, in the case of, there's one story that we read, I'm not going to be able to find it here, but it has to do with the Logan, Utah temple. Where is it? Yeah, I think it's this one right here. No, this is the story of Satan at the Logan, Utah temple. Yeah, no, it's this one right here. 1903. There was a similar story where you had people, in this case, not an individual, but you had like a whole family of people that were needing their work done. They came from the Hale family, and like one of the fathers of the family came and it's like, hey, we have all these people that need their work done. Can you please do it? And so it got done. And then later, Wilford Woodruff said that the family on the other side of the veil was able to celebrate in the Logan temple. There were like heavenly choirs that were heard and lights that were being seen coming out of the temple. People of the neighborhood saw the temple like all lit up. So it'd be amazing to see in each and every case the reaction of the people that have their work done and how they celebrate. So it seems like in some cases it's something big like this, like the whole family's in the temple and they're singing on the other side of the veil. And, who knows? Like in the case of my grandma, like if there's like people singing in just like a regular church building, maybe it's something along those lines, or maybe they have meetings in our buildings. I don't know. But in this case, Julius Smith, he got the confirmation that first, that the work needed to be done. And then secondly, once it was done, that it had been accepted. And just the very simple message that at first it's like sad, and then afterwards happy, which you would expect. So, all right, well, that's going to be it for this one. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.